And a good Monday morning to you all.
Happy November from Rural Community Solutions. I'm Kim Spillers.
I'm Frank Spillers, and welcome to Rural Community Solutions TV live stream, where we talk about creating and helping you design family-friendly, youth-centered places that attract people, and people that bring their own business with them. They're entrepreneurs. They might start a Main Street business, which, by the way, we're going to be talking about all week long. That's going to be we're changing up our format a little bit to where we'll have an interview every day. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very, very educational. And so as we talk about how do we create and how do we help you address and create family-friendly, youth-centered places, we always use our 4 pillars: relationships, engagement, entrepreneurship, and collaboration. When you have relationships, words matter, the words that you use. Your attitude is a big component of that. How do you view your community? How do you welcome people? Do they feel welcome? On engagement, do you really understand where they are? In other words, do you talk to your businesses? Do you know how to think like an entrepreneur? Do you know why they think like they do? And are you helping support them and trying to understand what their needs are, or just listening to your citizenry on how do you develop good policy? Collaboration, do you work well with others? Do you reach out and do you look at the passions and the purpose of other people that you can help use them in how they want to build themselves? That's the collaboration. And then that all supports an entrepreneurship economy. And entrepreneurs, that is your lifeblood of your community. You need to think like an entrepreneur to raise entrepreneurs up, to attract an entrepreneur so you can have an entrepreneurial economy. But this week, we're going to be talking about Main Street businesses. We're going to have interviews all week long. We have created what's called HOST, the Hometown Online Solutions Team. And it is a group of dedicated business people that are working to help you and your Main Street businesses to have an online presence. And where this came from is last April, Main Street America came out with a survey. They surveyed over 300,000 of their business members, and they got a response rate of about 6,000 back. But they found the startling figure on this is that they found that more than 63% of the Main Street businesses that responded to this survey did not have an online presence. There was no way that the customers could have an online approach or an online relationship with that business if they were closed. And many of them closed down during the COVID crisis. And so how is your business? How is your business community responding? And so we have assembled, if you will, and they have volunteered to come together to offer their expertise. And today we have with us, there he is, Blaine Stephens, and he's a cost reduction specialist with Schooley Mitchell. And Blaine can help you, and he's going to tell you how he does it, help you find 28% of money that's going through your leaky bucket. Blaine, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank and Kim. I appreciate you having me on.
We're so glad that you're here, Blaine. Blaine, yes. So thanks for joining us. Yes.
So Blaine,
apparently it's Monday.
Yeah. So Blaine, just kind of explain a little bit who is Schooley Mitchell?
Yeah, so Schooley Mitchell, we are cost reduction specialists, as you said, Frank, and that's really all we do. It's our only area of expertise. It's been around for 23 years, started in Stratford, Ontario, but today there are 160 offices like mine throughout the US and Canada, and we love working with small businesses and nonprofit organizations to find that wasted money, that leaky bucket that you mentioned, and to see if we can get some of those dollars back from the third-party provided services to reinvest in the business as profit, or to invest in areas like digital marketing where it really belongs.
So what does that mean? What kind of services do you offer then?
Yeah, we are not masters of all trades and don't try to do everything. We started 23 years ago. Dennis Schooley was looking at his own bills for his accounting firm with Brian Mitchell, and they saw their telecommunications charges seemed high, but they couldn't figure out why because the bills are very cryptic. They got a programmer to write some algorithms that are the basis of the tools that we use today, and sure enough, they found billing errors. They found services they were paying for that they didn't need or want. And they found that they were not paying the most competitive price in the market for the services they did have. So they saved money, they offered it to their clients, they saved money, and then it's been growing ever since then with offices like mine. So telecommunications was the first one. About 5 years ago, we added merchant services processing. So those pesky credit and debit fees that you pay for each credit card transaction. So we specialize in that. About 2-3 years ago, we added small package shipping. So anything that you're paying to send off to, via a courier service like FedEx or UPS, we can look into those transactional fees that, basically add up on a weekly basis. And just a year ago, we added waste reduction or waste removal services. So in that area, we're finding an average of 38% savings. And I found as high as 80%. And that could be for a single dumpster that is being, emptied once a week. We find huge waste there. And we just recently with the pandemic, we've added e-signature solutions. We can look at those. We look at electronic logging devices and fleet management devices for trucking industries specifically. So it's a pretty broad array of things that we can help find savings on.
So it's amazing you found waste in a dumpster.
Yeah.
Sorry, I digress.
I agree.
They're not throwing their money away.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and this started 23 years ago when the company started writing algorithms. I think, it was just maybe in the last 10 or 15 years, but 23 years ago. So this really has compounded upon itself for the knowledge that's been acquired, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And in that time, we've obviously continued to grow and develop. We are adding new services, as I mentioned, but we have served over 22,000 clients in the US and Canada during that time. So we're very proud of the value we offer to those clients.
That must be a chunk of change for that many clients you have saved.
I forget, it adds up to like $380 million in savings.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's significant.
Wow, that is amazing and impressive.
So why can't a business do this for themselves? I mean, how do businesses get into this situation to where all of a sudden they're just overpaying and they don't watch their nickels?
Well, so for one thing, my dentist was my very first client because he said, I love that you're going to save me money, but I just don't have time to deal with this stuff. And I get frustrated when I wait on hold to talk to these providers. So if you can handle that so I can go fill cavities, that would be a great deal. And that's the case for electricians, plumbers, any sort of retail organization. It's like they're busy running the business. The story I like to tell, an analogy, is imagine that you believed that there was treasure buried somewhere within your business location. You don't know where, but you're going to search for it. So you can close the business for a few days or weeks or even months, and you can tear everything up, floors, ceilings, walls, everything, looking for the treasure. Now, you're probably going to need to get some specialized tools, and at the end of all of that disruption, you may not find anything. Right? It maybe the treasure's not even there, or it is there and you just don't know how to find it. Or you could bring in a treasure hunter that takes the time while you do your business. They have the specialized tools, the knowledge, they've done this before. They can pinpoint the location and the amount of all that treasure, and they can get it back to you without disrupting anything. Now, we are not treasure hunters, let's make that clear, but that's what we do in the cost savings arena because we are experts in that field.
Gosh, I have a great picture of what a treasure hunting outfit would look like, the hat and, all of that.
I should have dressed up in that for this.
You could have had your pith helmet on and everything. Yeah.
Next time. That's a really fun thing. Well, so with all that money that's saved, often businesses will say, well, I can't, especially now, I'm not, my revenues are down. I can't afford to hire anybody. So How much does it cost to bring you aboard to even take a look for all this treasure?
That's exactly a great question, and why I got into this 3 years ago when I joined Schooley Mitchell. It is a contingency-based service model. So my clients pay nothing up front. There's no financial investment. There's no financial risk in engaging my services. I only make money by sharing in the actual savings I find after I've delivered it back to the business. So they have transparency that they can see, yeah, our bill was $1,000 last month and it's down to $500 this month. That's thanks to Schooley Mitchell's involvement.
So then when we talk about putting, having your Main Street go digital, one of the things they would come up with, to me anyway, is they, we need to get you online. They would say, I can't afford that. Well, having you come in at the front end like this and finding that extra money where they're going through their leaky bucket, that is the cost savings, that they can take that cost savings and put it towards going digital and creating an online presence to where they can expand their business rather than just maybe cut some of those expenses.
Exactly. I love to ask my clients, what would you do if you had a few $1,000s that came back to you as profit and you really didn't need to do anything? And one thing I often hear is, especially here in these challenging times, is I'd love to invest in a digital strategy. I'd love to have digital marketing. I'd love to have an e-commerce solution, but I can't afford all of that. Well, if I found you the free money to pay for those things, maybe you can do those things that have been on the wish list and move them on to the must-have.
Is there any businesses you say, yeah, you know what, you are doing pretty fine and I'm stumped? Or has that ever happened?
Yeah, it's very rare, but it can happen. There are occasions that we do all of our analysis and we find no savings for them. And that can be a temporary situation. I like to say there's no savings yet. And that might be because they are locked into a contract that doesn't allow them to change their services. Or they'd like to change providers, but there's an early termination fee hanging over their head that is so high they can't possibly afford to buy their way out of their current agreement. So where possible, we like to get month-to-month arrangements for our clients so they're not locked into things they don't like later, so they don't have buyer's remorse. But we can also wait until those contracts come due for renewal, which is usually on a 2 or 3 year cycle. We can wait until an opportune time, and then we can jump in and negotiate for the client.
So are you a kind of a one and done thing with a business, or do you have ongoing relationships with your businesses? Yeah,
I like to keep an ongoing relationship. In fact, if they have a problem, let's say with their phone or their internet, rather than jumping on support, if they want, they can call me and we will take care of that problem for them. We will manage it. Our agreement is over a 3 year period. So during that 3 years, we can monitor their accounts and take care of any issues that arise. But we're also going to continue monitoring on a quarterly basis to look for additional savings. Because remember, we're motivated to find those as our way of getting paid. So if over the 3 years we can maximize their savings, then they come out better at the end of the 3 years, and we do too.
This is an interesting business model because it really, I mean, I'm gonna look internally at your employees and who works for Schooley Mitchell. How are they motivated? How are they motivated to really stay with it and to build those relationships with the businesses and to see this? Because if you don't find it, you don't get paid for it. So how do you keep that motivation going? And who do you work with? Who are those people? I'm not quite sure if that question's coming through, but
what do you work with?
dig deep, Blaine.
I get it. I can speak Frank, so
pull me out of this.
So the relationship is mine to manage. So I am the one throat to choke, if you will, for that client to engage on all things Schooley Mitchell. So they only have one person to talk to. They don't have to go through a phone tree to find the right department to get something done. Behind me, though, I have a team of 70. This is in Stratford, Ontario. I have a team of 70 analysts and experts who can really dig deep into these areas of specialty for us. We've got people that have been doing telecommunications for years. So if anything regarding telecommunications comes up, they've probably seen it before, they probably already know the answer, or if not, they can go find it. The other part of who we work with is some people sometimes ask, are there specific providers that you have a partnership with that you're going to steer me toward? And we don't accept any commissions or residuals or any payment from the providers that we are auditing. So our clients know we're acting in their best interests as their industry watchdogs only. Also, because we're not working for commissions, we can work with all of the providers in the spaces we analyze. We don't care who they are. We just want to make sure our clients get the best possible service for the best possible price.
So what happens? Host got put together because people aren't online.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you access, I guess speak one to safety. And if people don't have online records for you to be able to, maybe they don't even have email. Do you do it the old-fashioned snail mail way? How do you literally work with companies?
Right. Well, the main thing we need to perform our analysis are copies of invoices or merchant services statements. Right. We dive in line by line, feature by feature to figure out what those costs are. Ideally, we get online access to those invoices, so we don't even have to bother our client on a quarterly basis to say, hey, can you send me the invoices from last quarter? Some clients just aren't comfortable with that, or they're not equipped for that. So we can work from electronic copies of their latest invoices. It's just more labor intensive for them. When we do have online access, though, we can not only pull the invoices as we need for our analysis without bothering them, we also can look back through their history. I've had a couple of clients who had internet connections in locations that had been discontinued. They had canceled the order, everything was cut off and it wasn't working. The billing department somehow didn't get the memo. And so they were paying 8 and 9 months longer for that disabled internet connection than the service they were receiving. So in that case, we were able to get a one-time cost recovery for them. It was $4,000 for one client and $8,000 for another client in a single check.
Holy mackerel.
Wow.
Wow. That's that's impressive.
Yep. I forgot to turn off your billing.
How lucky for me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Exactly.
So the businesses that you work on, what percentage would you say has a digital online? I mean, Host is to help people get digitally, get that online presence. How many of those businesses that you work with have a online presence, do you think?
Some, but not all. I'd say the smaller the client is, the less likely they are to have set that up, because they have someone who's always handled their accounts payable, and they've got a way they're accustomed to working. The good news there, though, is it's really easy to set up, and we can actually set it up for them once they give us the authorization to work with their account.
So is there kind of a sweet spot for a business size? Is anybody too small to work with, or is anybody too big?
Not really, not too small. Also, industry often doesn't matter. If they are consuming the services I rattled through there, and if they're paying above a certain amount per month, I can generally find them the 28% average savings. So my smallest client is a great example. They only have 3 employees. We found savings for them for merchant services processing, and that was most of it. So that was $1,800 in savings with just 3 employees.
Wow.
And the great news for them is we found them very little savings for telecommunications, but we doubled their internet speed for $3 less per month than what they were paying.
Wow, that's a big deal.
That's really critical. Wow, that's awesome.
These are good days for me when these stories come about.
You bet. Yeah. Are the vendors? I mean, did the vendors get grumpy at you?
They've come to know our name, and they know that if they want to keep the business, and 75% of the time, by the way, our clients stay with the same provider We simply negotiate better pricing for them. So if the vendor wants to keep the business, they know they have to come to the table and give us really their best offer. They can't hold back, or they might lose the business to another provider. We always give our clients options. So yes, our recommendation might be with your current provider, but if you wanted to look at moving to another provider, or two options for that, here are your other choices, so you can really compare from one to the other.
That's really good. Just customer service advice is that if you have a long-standing customer, you're a business, you have a long-standing customer, you don't want to lose that customer just because they want a cost reduction. There's always a way to find that cost reduction from your business to that customer. You might have to reduce some of the services, but or adjust some of the services and things like that. But keep that customer, is because the cost to regain a customer is huge. Absolutely. But the cost to keep a customer is not that big.
Absolutely. I mean, it's easy to paint these providers as big faceless corporations, but as decent business people, they know it's better for a customer to be in business than not be in business. They'd rather have that customer continue to use their services and pay them. And especially in challenging times like now, they're more willing to negotiate than ever to keep that business, on the books.
I bet. You had mentioned that you like to work with people in 3-year increments. So how long does it take to find all of these magical dollars to appear?
Yeah, great question. Once we have the documents and the information we need from the client, which takes us less than an hour to collect from them, we go away. Yeah, it's not a time investment either. We go away and we do our analysis. And depending upon the cooperation we're getting from the providers, it can take around 2 months. But we're not bothering the client at all during that time. And then the next time the client sees me, I am back with what we call our value report. So here are our findings about your current configuration and what you're paying. Here's our recommendation, and here are some other options to consider. Then the client makes the decision, and we go away and implement those changes on their behalf and begin to monitor their accounts to make sure everything is optimized.
So when you find those discrepancies or those cost saving measures, you don't automatically talk for the business. You wait for the business to give you approval before they do anything.
Absolutely. The client always makes the decision. We're consultants. They are the business owners, so they get to make that decision. However, we do pre-negotiate the best pricing with all of those providers we talk with, so we can bring as much clarity and transparency to our clients as possible. One of the things our clients appreciate is the education that they get in working with us. They've looked at these cryptic bills for years, and they've never understood what all of those fees and surcharges and line items are. So we make that clear to them, so that if they do return after the 3 years to managing it themselves, they at least have more information than when they started.
So do you find that some corporations take advantage of of businesses that, because they're not watching the bottom line, they don't understand these surcharges, they don't understand some of these hidden costs? Are corporations intentionally, and I'm not going to say all corporate, I'm not going to paint the broad stroke, but do you know corporations, or have you worked with the corporations that are kind of taking advantage of your clients or the client, and where to look automatically?
So there are two parts to that. So the corporation themselves, and I'm not going to assume ill intent that I can't prove, but these invoices are cryptic. They are difficult to read, and I would contend there might be a reason that they don't want that end client to be able to understand everything they're paying for. But generally, they do offer promotional offers. They're changing up their offerings all the time, and the industries are becoming more cost competitive over time, especially in the technology areas, because they just have to. They're in highly competitive fields, so they have to keep the client. They do count on our clients' tendencies to set and forget. So I had one client who had set up their internet 13 years earlier. They had never looked at a bill, never looked at an invoice in 13 years. They just, we call that weigh it and pay it. Is it about the same as last year? Yep. Okay. It's good. Go write the check. And the other piece of that are the representatives of the organizations. So often a sales representative kind of has the latitude to set their own price, and they can kind of sum up the business and say, I'll put this on credit card processing in particular. And I think this client can probably come up with 4% processing fees. That one only 3%. So they have the discretion to determine the processing fee that that client actually pays.
Wow. Okay.
Well, that's fascinating.
So how can people find you? I mean, where if they're looking around their business going, yeah, I want to find 28% of what's going out my door, how do they find you?
Well, this video is the key, right? I mean, but seriously, I have found getting my name out there, getting my face out there is the best thing I can do for my business. I don't like being a pesky salesperson. I don't cold call. I don't go door to door. I found networking and referrals and testimonials. 87% of my business has been built on those means rather than any other sales tactics. So I'm out and about, and even during COVID, I am Zooming day in and day out to keep in touch with people.
That's what I was wondering, is how much of this, I mean, let's say you live in a large metropolitan area. So pre-COVID, did you go out and actually meet with clients then, or has everything really kind of been digitally accomplished?
And for folks, Blaine lives in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area too, so.
And the weather's beautiful. Come on up.
Yeah.
Well, it's warmer down south.
This is not January, by the way.
Let's see. Yeah. So can you repeat the question there, Frank? I got distracted by Minneapolis.
Yeah. Just wondering, has everything pretty much always been done digitally, or if you have thousands of businesses at your disposal right there in the Twin Cities. So what's happened with all of that?
Yeah, so I had depended previously on chambers of commerce, professional networking groups, those kinds of things to meet people just by being out there interacting with them. For my clients, I do keep in touch. We have programs where we're offering value to them throughout the relationship so that we don't just become an invoice to them, and they know they can always reach out if something changes on their side. So we maintain those relationships that way. But the new relationships I am finding are happening through online networking activities. That's the only way I can safely get in front of people.
Right. And so that's how you're meeting with your clients as well. Whoever signs on with you, this is the technology that we're needing to use right now, and that's wise.
Yeah. And I think I'm impressed with how people have made the adaptation, because life goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just want to mention also that, and it's in the show notes, but earlier Blaine sent a great timed article from Schooley Mitchell, of the blog they just put out on Friday of why businesses need to go digital. And you're walking around, your doors are closed, but you have the sign that says, "I'm sorry, we're closed for COVID," but there is nothing on your sign that says, "Engage with us on social media," or find us on Facebook, or find us on Instagram, or whatever social media mode you are using. You're not telling your customers where they can find you. And if your doors are closed and your customers cannot find you an alternative way, you are losing a lot of revenue. And it's not that you have to compete against Amazon, but you have to play the game. And this is how businesses now are expanding and getting a digital back room, so to speak, or a digital storefront presence on there. And our interview today and talking with Blaine is, how do you find that income, that extra cash that's going to help you convert some of your storefront into the digital process so people can find you? And it's more important now that we're going into the holiday season and people are going to be online shopping probably like nobody's business that they have ever done that before. So
yeah. So what we do with Rural Community Solutions is we support, we encourage, we do everything we can to help rural businesses in America survive and thrive. And this is one way to do it. And having Blaine on our show today gives us some absolutely awesome tips and resources to be able to connect with a business who can find you money if you want to be online and have yourself a website, or just a landing page or whatever. We can talk about that because that's what the rest of the week is going to be about. Is every day is going to have somebody who can help you make that happen. So tune in this week or watch the episodes or listen to the podcast, and we're going to help you figure out how to help support your own business perennially, not just because of COVID. We want you to be a thriving business all the time.
So if you need some more information, you want Blaine to get a hold of you, you can always contact us. I'm Frank at ghorizons.com or Kim at ghorizons.com. Give us an email. We can send you Blaine's contact information. Go on Schooley Mitchell website, and you can find Blaine through that website. There's always a way that you can get a hold of it. But Kim mentioned what's going on this week. Let me talk about our hometown online solutions team, because we are a group of individuals, of volunteers that are helping Main Street businesses go digital. So tomorrow, we're going to have Gloria Russell from Russell
Resources.
Russell Resources.
Yes.
Hi, Gloria.
Yes.
From Russell Resources. She's going to help with words. Words matter. She's a great copywriter, and the words that you use help describe you. And then we're going to talk to Lisa Carpenter, and she's going to be talking about your brand. Have you created a brand, and how important is that brand to what you do? And then on Thursday, we're talking to Janet Orcutt from SOAR Marketing, who's going to help you go social. Are you on the social media? Are you on those platforms to get your word out? And then we're going to wrap it up with Joelle McAllister from McAllister Marketing on how do you get your brand all over the place. So come back every day, 11:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time at Rural Community Solutions TV live stream. This week, it's all about hometown online solutions team and how to get your Main Street businesses digital. So I'm Frank Spillers.
And I'm Kim Spillers, and we're so grateful today to have Blaine Stephens from Schooley Mitchell join us and help us find the money. Thanks, Blaine.
Thank you.
So what do they say? Has anybody ever come up to you and say, "Hey, show me the money"?
That's what I'm telling my head office folks all the time.
Exactly. That's it. Well, that's a great place to start and a wonderful kickoff to our week for host Hometown Online Solutions Team. Thanks for joining us, Blaine.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Blaine.
Take care.
And we'll see all of you tomorrow right here. And make sure you can catch our podcast. You can catch the show on the podcast if you didn't catch this video at anchor.fm/Frank Spillers. And it will be up in 5 minutes as soon as we're done here. So have a great Monday. We'll see you on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time.
Take care and be well.
Bye-bye.